So, Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Mtolo Piri, Minister of Lands, Honorable Muchima, Cabinet colleagues that may be present here, President of the Zambia National Farmers Union, Mr. Jarvis Zimba, senior government colleagues that may be present here this afternoon, the board of the Zambia National Farmers Union, the trustees, all the trustees that may be here, members of the diplomatic corps and other cooperating partners, representatives of the private sector and non-governmental organizations that are present here, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It's my honor, truly my honor, that I have been invited here, Mr. President of the Union, to join you at the 115th Annual Congress of the Zambia National Farmers Union. I wish to emphasize our government's commitment, serious commitment to agricultural development in this country, to the promotion of farming, not as a hobby only. There are people who can afford to farm as a hobby. But the greater majority of us need to farm, massive farming as a business. Then we will sustain farming. Because if it doesn't make business sense, if it's not viable, we will simply be out of farming. And I've been reminded, no farmer,
no food,
no food,
no future.
No future. This government cannot even contemplate that situation, because any decent government's obligation or obligations include making sure that its population is food secure. Truly, this is the way we see farming. It is a business. We're committed to building strong relationships, partnerships with various stakeholders in this agricultural sector, so we can transform the sector to its full potential. We are tired, as a country, as a people, we are tired of talking about potential. Just a few days ago, we were celebrating 57 years of independence. And the word potential has always been on our lips. This is unacceptable. This government will work with you, Mr. President, and your members, and my fellow farmers, to actualize that potential. We do not need, this president does not need, Mr. President, your persuasion to do what I've just said. It is inherent in this president, as a farmer and as a small business person, to ensure that we succeed as a country in different sectors, but more importantly, the agricultural sector. Anyone who has studied economic development, economies around the world, knows that majority of countries, not all, but the majority of countries use the agricultural sector as a platform from which to take off economically. We know that. Even if we didn't do that as an economy, you knew that you had to make sure that your people have eaten before they go to bed. Otherwise, if you are in government like us, you will not stay long in office. Distinguished delegates, agriculture, as I've said already, shouldn't just be to produce raw products. Agriculture must produce industrial products, raw materials, primary food. But Mr. President, agriculture must increase the value out of farming beyond the farm gate value. It must increase the value to levels that make it easier to continue farming. I'm talking about value addition. I'm talking about magnitude of incomes to farmers. Because if farmers live on the margins, on the edges, any little bit of a shock could be natural, rains, for example, could be a disease burden, could be something else. If we live on the edges as farmers, we could be out of business. So we need to create sufficient fat, sufficient incomes to be able to withstand the shocks that come with, if you like, the risks of doing any business. Farming is no different. Farming has the potential, great potential. As I said, we're tired of the potential, the usage of the word potential. But farming should and will create jobs under this government. Working with yourselves, Mr. President, farming must and will create jobs for our people. Farming should be used, we should use farming to alleviate poverty. Mr. President of the Farmers Union, this president sitting here, this servant of the people sitting here, and the ministers, and all our colleagues in government, came into government under almost impossible conditions, where we had no democratic space. But why did the people of Zambia elect us into office? Even when we did not campaign as much, you all know that. It's because the citizens decided that they wanted to deliver change. Change meaning what? Meaning the economy to improve. Economy to improve to do what, Mr. President? To offer opportunities for better lives for our people. And farming is one of the critical investment areas, sectors that can deliver just that which the citizens decided to put us in office for. We're convinced about that. To that extent, Mr. President of the Farmers Union, you should be happy to note that this government places agriculture at the center of its transformation agenda, at the center of our intent to turn around the economy. If, as it is the case, then you have a partner in us as a government. For me, like you, this government is my partner as well as a farmer. So I emphasize the point I made. We do not need persuasion. We do not need arm twisting. We just need to get the job done together. We are aware that over the years, agriculture did not realize its full potential for many reasons. But one of the critical reasons that there was just no leadership. And that's a fact. To work with the sector, to deal with issues that have been hanging on in the sector for years and years. And I'll just mention one: animal disease control, crop disease control. It cannot be right that small quantums of money that we need to spend, as you have said, Mr. President, I was listening to you, to procure, or indeed to manufacture vaccines, very little amounts of money. The human resource is there, but the cash capital side, the cash side of capital, let me put it that way. Human is capital, isn't it? But the cash side, financial side of capital, has never been available to allow disease control to a level where this subsector can feed the whole region, given our natural resource endowment. I'm talking about water, I'm talking about grass, on the assumption that we have the management skills. But what else do we need? Grass, water. Why should the disease burden continue? As one of your colleagues said to me in the room there, dissipating livestock numbers. It simply means that we just didn't have the leadership. Mr. President, that leadership is now here. Let's get it done. Mr. President, access to inputs is important to us as it is to you. Mr. President, reducing the cost of production is as important to you as it is important to us. We have a shared understanding. Policy, let me step aside. Legal, laws, regulations should support growth in agriculture. These should not inhibit agricultural growth. Now, I listened to you when you were speaking there. Now that I've confirmed with you that we're aligned, let's isolate these issues around laws. First, the policies, because the laws is a product of policies. Policies, laws, regulations. Let's isolate these ones. The key ones that, if resolved, when resolved, they will unlock the potential in the sector. Let's do it together. Let me challenge this Congress that let's share work. We are ready to receive your suggestions. Bring them. Bring them. Bring the suggestions. Since we're ready to receive them, we have our own ideas, let's have convergence. And then start isolating one by one, starting with the most important ones, those that will trigger explosion in the sector. for commercial benefits to the risk takers, yourselves, to the growth of the economy, to all of us, for the creation of jobs, for the very people that put us in office, the youth. Not just a job for jobs, but also for self-employment. Mr. President, farming presents a rare opportunities for self-employment. There's an assumption that farming must be something we do as our retirement exercise. Why would you aspire to be a farmer when you are 60? We should make the young population want to be farmers. We should make the young people to want to be farmers as a career, as a business. But that will only happen if farming is rewarding. Mr. President, farming must be rewarding. Otherwise, the young guys, I must tell you my own experience. I'm so scared of my own kids, sending them outside. I always worry whether they will return or not. So selfishly, I want to keep them around. But why would a kid not come back home? Because there are no opportunities home. Because agriculture is not paying well. Let's make agriculture pay well. So, cost of production must be dealt with. The legal regulatory environment must be dealt with. I talked about disease control, must be dealt with. Access to markets must be dealt with. Production and productivity, Mr. President. If other things are done, ceteris paribus, all things being equal, other things are there. We must increase productivity as farmers if we receive the support that we need. Mr. President, I was watching from a distance, yet I was inside, since I'm a farmer. But I was watching, what the hell is the reason why the export bans, the ban is lifted, again the ban is imposed? What the hell is the issue? Now, let's work together. If you talk to colleagues in government, because I've peeped through 2 months now, I'm in office, Mr. President, looks like it's long, but it's only 2 months, 2 days. 2 months, 2 days. Maximum 2 months, 3 days. I'm in office. I have been checking, looking, checking. Why is this thing happening? I used to ask the questions. Now, I'm looking for answers. Because I was able to ask questions, I was outside, but inside. Now I'm inside and inside. We must find the answers. It is true that food security for our people is important, isn't it? It is true. But that should be not the reason we impose and lift bans on exports. Because that does not require rocket science to know what we need to do to secure food for our people, isn't it? Yeah. Especially when, at the same time, we use the argument of food security, yet food is rotting. Now, who's paid the price of the food that is gone rotting? Yes, you can say the farmer. By my training, for my past sins as a student, the economy pays. Because a farmer is one that delivers value, delivers contribution to economic growth. If the farmer's food rots in their hands, or the food rots in the hands of FRA or a storage facility, the economy has lost value. And this is what I want to attack, Mr. President. I'm now talking to you as a colleague. You and I have known each other for a long time, like many people around here. Except I was a bit courageous than most of you. You didn't walk away from me. Yes. Because most of you used to say to me, HH, why would you leave what you're doing and seek a political office? I said, somebody has to do it. Otherwise, we'll get nowhere as a country, as an economy, as family. We'll get nowhere. That's the courage I talked about, not other things, Mr. President. I'm talking about getting to manage politics and this country better so that we can deal with the issues we're talking about today. Somebody had to do it. It happened to be me and others, including my colleagues, ministers here. So, we should have stable policies. But it will only be possible to have stable policies if we have arrived at those policies through consultations with yourselves. My colleagues in evangelicals would have said, am I talking to somebody here? Right? We must make our policies attractive. But that will only happen through consultations. Mr. President of the Union, we are available for those consultations. We as a party presented policies to the voters. That's why they voted for us. But now that we're in office, we will not work only on our policies. We are here to consult with you so we can sharpen those policies. And once we've done that together, we must be consistent. We must be consistent. You, the government, us must be consistent. Not start-stop process. Taking into account the needs of food security is a given. We don't need to be rocket scientists to understand that. But I can tell you one of the things I found out in my 2 months, 3 or 4 days in government. We have had leaderships in this country that see individuals by the way they look or the language they speak or how tall or the color of their skin, rather than seeing the value and the skills those individuals hold. And how this can benefit the economy, how this can create the jobs. We all agree we need jobs, isn't it? So, but how do we bring about jobs? It's to make sectors viable like agriculture. It's to export. Let me be a little bit brutal. You think I'm here to praise government? No. I'm here to say we, the government now, want to reach consensus quickly with you, Mr. President. We don't want to have a talking shop. We want consensus. I said when I was campaigning, I will be the chief marketing officer for Zambia. I'll be the chief salesman. When I went to New York, Mr. President, for the UN General Assembly, after my duty to present my speech at the United Nations General Assembly, I had a checklist of people I wanted to see, fellow presidents. One of them was President of Congo, President Tshisekedi. And I said, Mr. President, how are you? We greeted each other. So he said, well, congratulations, Mr. President. I said, thank you. And I say thank you to you for congratulating us. I said, Mr. President, we have issues on our borders. Those issues are important. But we are one people, we should deal with them. But there are more important issues. That it's unacceptable that you are buying millimilli from South Africa when I can deliver millimilli to you on a wheelbarrow. He says, well, we need food, Mr. President. I asked for 600,000 metric tons of milling every year, and your colleagues before you were not interested in that conversation. I said, I'm interested. I think you know what I'm just about to say. We have a market north, west, east, south of us. Before we used to cry that we are landlocked, we should not make that cry an issue. We are land-linked. We are specially located to be the hub of production, the hub of distribution, the hub of processing, with a population of 300 million people around us. That's the way your government, your new government, looks at this country and looks at you as farmers to actualize what we've been talking about as potential for years and years. Mr. President, we are aligned. Let's get the job done. I listened to you there. Mr. President, don't make demands to me, your friend. No. Let us checklist the issues that are inhibiting growth in this sector. Let us checklist the remedies that we need to put in place. Let us checklist number 3. I like simple pager. Issues, remedies. Who should deliver these remedies? Amongst ourselves as one team. And when? So I challenge us here, since we're inside and inside, I challenge us here to come together quickly. Mr. President, your union, don't just look at your big union. Let us look at the needs of small, medium farmers as well. Let's consolidate that, because big farmers need smaller farmers. Even on the issues of outgrow, isn't it? I expect some of these big farmers to run outgrower schemes. Even in fish farming, Mr. Fisherman, you can run outgrower schemes. So let's carry all the farmers, because we're interdependent. Mr. President, I could say more, but let me indicate the issue of exports. Study countries that have done well. When you have a population as small as ours, please, our population is small, and with the economy that was wiped out in the last 10 years from 6% GDP growth per annum to 0 or minus, we don't have effective demand in this country. Consumer demand is very small. I hope we're together here. We may have 18 million people, but disposable incomes and effective demand of these 18 million people is so small. But for us to increase production and consistently process and sell higher value items from agriculture, including industrial activity. Mr. President, part of my meetings in New York, I extended to Washington. We were talking about how this country is being talked about now after the change of government to be a source of industrial products such as cassava, starch. Let's get a bit serious. We can be the large starch producers for this region and the world. But this will only be possible if we plan deliberately and we implement on the farm level or farm gate these policies that will lead us to be critical exporters. That's where I'm going. Because of the small population, low levels of disposable incomes, exports become essential. Here's what I'm saying. So we should not be saying the government is banning exports. No. If we are banning exports because of disease factor, then it's our problem together. So let's ensure that we leave our borders for exports open. And I will be your chief export officer. What do I want? What did I commit to the people of Zambia? We committed jobs for the youth. We committed business opportunities for the youth. We committed a higher standard of living and poverty alleviation. It will come from exports, given the domestic population challenges in numbers and in incomes, until we begin to raise incomes, real incomes, disposable incomes. Mr. President, to export consistently means we should produce consistently. Are we together? You can't get a 600,000 metric tons of millennial order, which I am happy to negotiate if I can extricate it from South Africa, and I'll work so hard. You'll be happy with me very soon, right? But if we get orders like that, or you get orders at a private level, which you should wait for the government, and you don't consistently meet your export orders, your customers will switch suppliers. I hope you see where I'm going. That increased production, productivity, disease control, low cost of inputs, marketing arrangements, storage, all of these are important. And for us as a government, your government, I know you know, and you agree that this is your government. Your government would like to gravitate with you, not FISIP you're talking about, or someone talked about. We want to gravitate to a holistic program called Agricultural Support Program. So that it's not just inputs, it's not just vaccines, it's not just fertilizer, it's not just seed. It is everything, Mr. President. Farming methods, technology, green energy, finance, storage, logistics, value addition, all of those things, skills. 2 days ago, I was talking to a minister, I won't mention his name. And I said, Minister, immigration, work permits must be seen from a different angle. It is not true. First and foremost, let me step aside. Jobs, it's our responsibility to create jobs for Zambian citizens. First, why would you have a tractor driver who is not a Zambian, honestly, on your farm or on a mine? Why would the bulldozer be an expatriate? Honestly, that's a no-brainer. We are here to create jobs for Zambians, first and foremost. But how do you increase jobs for Zambians? There will always be specialist skills that are lacking in any economy where you need to import that skill. And that skill is held by a human being who needs a work permit. And when you do that, you will create an additional 20, 50, 100 jobs for Zambians. That's no brain at all. So you will see issues around there being dealt with, Mr. President, to ensure that we create more jobs for Zambians. If we need a skill, you go to America, they will tell you that they need Indian skills in electronics, in mathematics. Silicon Valley goes to India to import Indians who hold certain skills and intellect in that research valley. Why would it be different here? It will become different if we are importing unskilled labor. It will become a problem to our own selves, but it's not a problem to bring in specialist skills to breed and grow fish so you can sell in 4 months, not in 6 months. You sell in 4 months, you advance your income generation. You sell in 6, 8 months, it increases your cost of feeding your fish. Simple. Mr. President, I have spoken enough. I want to conclude by saying, let us work together. Let us deliver this sector to levels never seen before. Droughts will come, but if irrigation is part of our proactive planning, we will mitigate droughts. Other hazards will be there, any business. But if we work together and we're well-meaning, Mr. President, we shall be okay. So maybe from today, this Congress, I know you've already had your board meetings, Congress meetings, but as you close, maybe we can begin to look at each other differently, certainly better, that we're inside and we're inside together. God bless you all. Thank you.
Your Excellency, thank you very, very much for that speech. Thank you. At this point, Kalicheso, just one act. Do we have Kalicheso nearby? Kalicheso, one act. We proceed to the next program. Please hurry and do your act. Kalicheso, please.
Issues of land tenure. We cannot continue, but I just want to touch on just do the checklist to get land tenure, ground rules. I have issues with rates myself. Because rates are like we are buying a new property. Exactly. So we should not penalize for that.
But don't tell anyone.
Right?
If you look at that, there are penalties. You look at maps, there are penalties. Use of lands, there are penalties.
Licenses. I didn't want to waste time. Licenses, local government councils.
Yes.
Rates.
Rates.
If you want to do the factor on your farm, you should want. They come and ask more rates.
Yes.
On your farm.